Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into this thing. All right, yeah, got a little recruiting update. We're going to find out who is in trouble and who's killing it. Oh, but before we get started, I know all of you folks have seen the picture of the CEO of the billion-dollar company that was hanging out with the head of HR at the Coldplay concert. But see, there was another picture y'all didn't see after that because that just kind of blew up. And this one didn't surprise me at all. Yeah, Lane and Paul, I had a feeling that this is kind of how things are with them. And I've told you they're like two punk kids that shouldn't be allowed to hang out in the same class, but obviously they're closer than we all thought. So anyway, I thought y'all might like to see that. All right, yeah, USC is sitting at number 1. They have 31 commits, which is a lot. And I want to talk to you about that for a second. You're going to see a bunch of teams well above 25, which is what we're accustomed to seeing, 25, somewhere in that neighborhood as far as scholarships, as far as recruits. But everything's changed now because we've gone from 85 scholarships to 105. So you're going to see a lot of teams taking 30, 35 recruits. And you're also going to see a lot more 3-stars with teams that don't make sense because 3-stars don't cost very much money. You can pretty much give them a scholarship, room and board and all that, and maybe a stipend, and they'll be happy to join your team. Whereas with the 4-stars and 5-stars, that takes this. And so you're going to see a lot of big-time teams taking on some extra 3-stars that are, players that they can develop because of the financial constraints and the extra scholarship. So USC is doing a good job. Lincoln Riley's under a ton of pressure. His average is good at 92. So that's solid for them. He needs a good year. Now we've got number 2, Georgia. They're really struggling as always with the recruiting. Kirby can't ever seem to have a good class. Yeah, super easy. Look, it's Georgia. They're the only big-time school. I know Georgia Tech's kind of a big-time school, but it's an engineering school. You got a lot of nerds in there. It's not an easy school to get into. So Georgia, of course, is going to kill it.
Super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Kirby's wearing it out. Now, he's got a few more 3-stars, like we said. He's got 7 so far, which is usually he's at 3 or 4, but again, extra scholarships. Texas A&M got 26 commits, 23 4-stars. Wow. Anyway, they have unlimited oil money just like Texas does, so no shock there. Notre Dame has gotten in the game. They usually weren't this high in the past. But again, huge alumni, tons of money. They're golden. They're going to contend every year, especially with playing in the ACC so much. Here's Alabama, 5 5-stars. 5. Kalen DeBoer is killing it. Look, Alabama, Nick Saban's left him in a great spot. DeBoer's a fine coach. He's got Ryan Grubb with him, which I'm not excited about that, nor should the SEC be. Shake and bake. I don't like shake and bake being together.
Shake and bake.
That's no bueno. And here's Ohio State. It's sitting at number 6, solid average, 21 commits. Look, I understand being outside the top 3 is very upsetting for you right now. You're used to being, at the top. But remember, you've got 90% blue chip ratio, which is the highest in the country. So don't fire Ryan Day yet. Cut him some slack. He just came off a national championship. I know how the tendency to, get that going early in the season, fire Ryan Day, fire him. Let this play out, okay? Just let this play out. Let him get to the Michigan game. As long as he wins that, I think he'll be okay. I know he's on the hot seat at all times because it's Ohio State. But I think you just need to relax for just a minute and let this kind of, let the chips fall, okay? You're welcome, Ryan. All right, Texas at number 7. 90, that's a low average for them. Normally they're around 93, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Only 3 5-stars for them. Poor, pitiful little Texas.
Oh, that's a shame.
Feel so bad for him. I'll tell you who's got a nice average is LSU at 93.66. He is under a lot of, now look, he's not under pressure to get fired because they would owe him like $60 million, Brian Kelly. But here's the key game for him is the opening week. They got to play Clemson, and they have lost the last 3 openers in a row. And that puts you, look, you're in the SEC. You can't lose the first game of the season. That puts you in a really bad spot because then you've got to go through the gauntlet. So Brian Kelly's under a ton of pressure to win that first game, and it's at Clemson. So,
and we're sitting here again. We're sitting here again talking about the same things.
That should be, I tell you what, Cade Klubnik, look out, LSU. That could be a tough one. Oregon, they got the Nike money. They're doing great. Huge average, 93. Only 15 commits, they're fine. They're top 10 with only 15 commits. Miami, now nobody watches their games. I've told you their stadium's half empty all the time, but they've got a couple of really big donors down there, so Miami is getting in the game at all times. And they're sitting top 10 with only 21 commits. That's fine. They're number one in the ACC. That's what's important to them. Michigan, oh boy, look at Michigan sitting at number 11. 21 commits, 14 four-stars. Michigan's got the most interesting situation in the entire country. We have no idea what the NCAA is going to do with him. I would estimate, given the fact that they have not cooperated and haven't cut a deal of any kind, that the NCAA must want to really hammer them and make an example out of them because they didn't cooperate. That's going to affect a lot of things. They're probably going to lose at least 30 scholarships, maybe 40, and probably a $15 to $25 million fine somewhere in there. And I've already told you, I think SHERRONE Moore gets a 4-game suspension, probably the first 4 games. I would fully expect this decision to come out before the season begins, and then probably a show cause of some point. We're going to find out if he can coach with a show cause. As far as the Natty's concerned, we just don't know. We just don't know. They should lose it, given all the crap they did. And here's the thing about Michigan. Not only did they affect every team they played, they affected teams outside the Big Ten. So they took a wrecking ball to the Big Ten. Coaches lost jobs, all that because of that sign-stealing garbage. And their boy Connor.
Sign-stealer guy.
Anyway, they went outside the Big Ten. We've talked a lot about that, how they pretty much hamstrung Tennessee and Clemson, sending signs to other teams, knock them out of the playoff.
Allegedly.
So Michigan is the biggest question mark out there going in this year. We just don't know. And Ohio State, quit making excuses for them. I'm tired of Ohio State fans constantly coming to the aid of Michigan. Look, they can stand on their own. Always buddying up to Michigan fans. All right, now we're going to get into a couple of 3 teams that are always between 10 and 15. Starting out with Clemson, 21, 15 4-stars. That's solid. A decent average, just under 91. They're always around 12. You got Tennessee, the exact same thing. They're sitting at 13th with a little over 90.3 or whatever. More 3-stars than they typically would have, again, because they're going to be taking on a lot more recruits. And it shows, and I know what Tennessee fans are going to do. They're going to get upset because it only shows 1 5-stars. There's actually 2, and I know that. They got the number 1 player in the country, Faison Brandon, and then they got the 5-star offensive tackle. But in the composite, he's not considered a 5-star, and that's why that's showing that. So I'm fully aware they have 2 5. Just relax, Tennessee fans. I'm one of you, so calm down. I know there's 2. They're going to come in the comment section. That only says 1. I know, it upsets me too. All right, and in Florida, Clemson, Tennessee, and Florida living where they are. We get our mail there between 10 and 15. 18 commits. Billy Napier off the snide last year. He had been fired. Billy Napier got fired twice last year. They had the dadgum Mayflower truck in front of his house. They had one behind his house. But he got it turned around with DJ Lagway, and Florida fans forgave him.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
Yeah, and they won 8 games with the toughest schedule I ever saw in my life. I mean, whoever made that schedule does not like Billy Napier. But anyway, they're sitting good. They're sitting at 14th with only 18 commits. They're fine. That's where they live. And Florida State's another team, does the same thing. They live between 10 and 15. That's number 2. Well, actually, that's number 3 in the ACC, but it's close. So they're fine. Look, to be sitting there in the top 15 after finishing with 2 wins last year is good. And this is a team that should rebound. Surely they'll win at least 6, 7, 8 games this year. I mean, it's just absurd what happened last year. Part of it was they had that ukulele dude, but yeah, they need to get off the schneid. Penn State, I don't like their average at 89, but they're a good team, good coach. James Franklin's solid. I think they'll be fine. Here comes Bill Belichick coming around the corner with 33 commits. I think that's the highest number in there. 87 average is not good. I'm not impressed by that. I really thought Belichick would bring in some better players than that. And they're spending the money, but maybe it's not as much money as I think. But he's been dealing with a lot of off-field issues, as you know. Can't remember what her name is. All right, Washington, number 18. That's pretty good for Washington. That's not bad. Here's SMU at 19th. They're coming on up there. They're in the ACC now. They got plenty of that old money. Here's BYU. They're dealing with a real problem. They lost their quarterback, Jake Retzlaff. That guy's good. He's a winner, but he had the problem with the assault charge that actually there were no charges, and the young lady, Jane Doe, dropped her lawsuit with prejudice, which means it can never be brought up again. So, but, the politics of that are not good. So I don't know which team's going to pick him up. There was a ton of talk that Tennessee would be, but I never got any confirmation from my inside sources, which makes me uncomfortable. If I'm not hearing it from my people, it's hard for me to really feel like it's going to happen. And I think maybe Josh Heupel is comfortable with Joey Aguilar and Merklinger and McIntyre. Who knows, though? Things can change. He may end up going group of 5, though. That's what I'm hearing. All right, here's UCLA and old Nico Iamaleava. Look here, Nico, you got 23 stars coming in. That can go along with the other 73 stars over there at UCLA. They're a decent program. They're going to win 6 games. But good thing you got away from Tennessee because we just didn't put enough good players around you, was my understanding, and you didn't like the offense. So you're going to the 118th offense in the country. That'll fix it.
You serious?
Here's old Brett Bielema, number 22. Best fight scene ever. Brett Bielema and Shane Beamer. That was awesome. That was my favorite bowl game of the whole year. First of all, it was a great game, but when he and Beamer squared off, that was the cherry on the cake for me. And Beamer never disappoints. He really doesn't. And Bielema's kind of that way too. Here's Syracuse. We got to play Syracuse right off the bat. Tennessee does. They're doing okay. And South Carolina, see, I told you folks that South Carolina didn't need to panic because they had a good average, which is 91, and they've picked up a couple of 4 stars. They have jumped from, they were 51st last time I did this, and now they're 24. So, jackpot, calm down. I told you were okay.
Where's the Tylenol?
All right, Arkansas, no. Sam Pitman, that's not going to get it done. I've already told you folks, Bobby Petrino's just ready to replace him. It's going to happen. Yeah. Just go ahead and count on it. And here's Lane Kiffin. He's only got 14 commits. He's fine. He's going to do the portal thing. That's what he does. Then you get down into some of these other teams that I'm not terribly concerned about. There's Indiana. As long as they have an easy schedule, they'll be fine. There's old TCU. Let's see. I'm very surprised at Oklahoma. 88. Normally, their blue chip ratio is 70. 70. This is not, their average is an 88. That's not good. So Brent Venables, you better win this year. So I can tell you, the Oklahoma fans aren't happy. Now, they'd owe you a lot of money. I think it's like 30 some odd million bucks. But Oklahoma has money, so you better win. Mississippi State, they're doing what they do. All 3 stars. There's old Vandy. Yeah, Diego thinks he's going to take over Tennessee, the entire state.
Vanderbilt's going to run Tennessee after this year.
You sure about that?
Good luck with that with 17 3 stars out of 18. And there's old Kentucky. Kentucky's in the panic mode. They're in trouble. 3 4 stars, 12, 3 stars, 87, 88 average. No, sitting at 50th. That is not good. At least they don't, hey, you know what? At least we don't have to load more to show them anymore. They got in the top 50. Oh, Mark Stoops, man, this is going to be a tough year. And you're totally hamstrung. You got one hand tied behind your back. Mark Pope gets anything he wants. He is precious pup up there. He wants a 5-star here at guard. He wants a 5-star forward. No problem. Whatever he wants, a 5-star on the bench. No problem. Mark Stoops wants a 5-star at quarterback, the most important position. Oh, here's enough money for a 3-star, 300th ranked player in the transfer portal. The Zach Calzada dude.
Who?
Good luck, Mark. You're going to need it. And they're going to put pressure on you, and they're not going to accept the fact that it's a basketball school. You know what? Calipari, tell him.
This is a basketball school. It's always been there. Alabama is a football school. So is Georgia. I mean, they are.
Right.
This is about, our football team. I hope they win games and 10 games and go to bowls. At the end of the day, that makes my job easier, and it makes the job of all of us easier. But this is a basketball school.
Yeah, it's a basketball school. And now we got to hit the dreaded load more. If you're in this category, you need to start panicking. Let's get down here and show a few teams. Let's see. Where is Auburn? Where the crap is Auburn? Look at Nebraska. I remember when Nebraska was the absolute powerhouse. Let's see. Oh, my gosh. You're still at 75th, Auburn? You only got 10 commits and an 88 average? What is Missouri thinking? They're the same situation. I'm telling you, the Auburn fans are not happy. They're coming off, 3 losing seasons in a row, 2 of which are under Hugh Freeze. And Hugh has been, let me tell you something, he is striping the ball right now. So don't worry, Auburn. That dude's breaking 80 on the regular.
He's got a beautiful backswing. Dad, oh, he got all of that one. He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
But I can tell you this much. The Auburn fans that I know, they are sick of this crap. 3 losing seasons in a row. I mean, and Auburn is one of the blue chip winners. They're in the top 18 teams that can win a natty because they're above 50% on blue chip. And to sit here and have 3, I mean, it's just absurd. It really is. There's no way Auburn should be struggling like they are, and there's certainly no reason for them to be at 75th. The whole way they're going about this is wrong, and I don't blame the fans for being pissed off.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Yeah, their day is ruined. And Missouri, Eli, I'm not sure what to think of him sitting there at 76th. Now, he's only got 10 commits, so that can certainly rebound. But Drinkwitz, I tell you, he's done a great job. I question one thing about that team. Brady Cook was the most underrated quarterback in the entire country for the last 2 years. I think he was tremendous. He was much faster than people realized. He was clutch. He was tough. He would play hurt. And I saw that team without him, and it was kind of ugly. Now, they got this Bo Pibula guy they got out of Penn State. We'll see how he does. But Brady Cook might have been the straw that stirred the drink. We'll see how. Look, Eli's done a great job, so I'm not getting on him. But if they struggle this year, it might have been a Brady Cook thing. I've seen that happen with coaches. You folks remember a fella by the name of Josh Dobbs? Yeah, he kept Butch Jones in a job for years. So that may be what Brady Cook did for Eli, or I could be wrong. Drinkwitz, he's got plenty to crow about up there, so I'm taking it easy on him for now. But this recruiting at 76 needs to improve. It can, but that's another team I'm very interested to see how they do this year. I'll be watching them and Auburn very closely. And then that's pretty much it as far as important teams, and we've got it covered. So you can see the teams that are in trouble: Auburn, Missouri, Kentucky for sure. I think South Carolina is going to be okay. So I feel good about their average. And they should have a pretty decent season this year with Lenores. Lenores is a heck of a quarterback. So anyway, did want to do an update on this. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know we'll continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit that button right there. It will not cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here is a video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. Something to do with the algorithm. I don't know the algorithm. Always fighting it. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.